Lightning like Steve McQueen. I'm in the fast lane when the light turns green. And I built tough, I ain't nothing but grit. Cause I made rugged blood, sweat, and spit. Yeah, like a horse I fly. Better push yourself in for a bumpy ride. I like to play hard, but I work harder. And I weather the storm cause I'm built stronger.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It's the Freight Coach Morning Show, the top morning show in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines and, most importantly, provide some actual insight into what you can do with all this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight. On top of this, I also do a twice-a-week long-form podcast called Coffee with the Freight Coach. It's everything's uploaded all to the same platform on iTunes and Spotify, so it's easy to find for you all. But yeah, I do that as well. And we only feature transportation professionals, ladies and gentlemen, because I personally learn best from the people who are active in it and who have been involved in it and are trying to accomplish and or who have done what I'm trying to accomplish and everything. And I want to bring all that information to you guys. At the end of the day, I want it so you guys can apply, utilize, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. It's one of the many reasons why I proudly fly this American flag behind me as well every single day. Is A, we're the greatest nation on earth, but B, I'm living my American dream, and I want to help each and every one of you live your American dream as well. Before we jump in any further, I got to give a shout out to my friends over at VHub. You guys, vhubapp.com. Whether you're a broker, carrier, or a shipper alike, we all need access to trailers at some point in time. And the best part about with what they have is you get paid to move these trailers, you guys. And with what they're working on right now, so they have a unique opportunity for any of you brokers out there who are like me and you're building your book of business and building your company up, or you're looking for new opportunities, is you can create a drop trailer pool with one of their offerings right now. It's out of the Dallas market and it needs to go up into, excuse me, 1 second here. It needs to go up to Long Sault, Ontario, which is just outside of Ottawa. You can originate up there as well and go down and drop them in Hutchins, Texas. And then you can grab another one in Dallas and go back up to Long Sault or vice versa, and you can create a round trip opportunity. So it's a great way for you to get in the door with some of your prospects. They also are working on some reefers in St. Cloud, Minnesota, and Mason City, Iowa, needing to get over to Mississauga, Ontario. With that one, you go to vhubapp.com, put your offer in on their platform, and again, you get paid to do that. And that's on top of the revenue you can get by loading that trailer out. They also have Milton, Ontario to Moncton, New Brunswick for $400 Canadian. And then finally, they have Paragould, Arkansas going to Orting, Washington. It's a drive-in, and you get $1,550 to do that. $1,550 on top of the revenue that you can get by loading that trailer out. So hit them up, you guys, vhubapp.com. My friends Xavier Campos and Stacey Steen will be in the audience. Just do me a favor, let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. Stace, what's up? Happy freaking Monday. Let's fucking go, she says. Sunny Sharma, good morning, Orange Shirt Gang. Whitney Young, good fucking morning, Orange Shirt Gang. He's over on YouTube watching. You guys, I do stream live on YouTube as well. Tracy O. St. Clair, good morning. Freight Sensei in the house. Scott Watanabe, good morning. Let's fucking go. Happy Monday. Papa Freight is in the building. Steven Title, good morning, everyone. He says, all right, you guys, we are at day 221 of the Freight Coach Tally. And that's also our 221st reminder that there is a truck parking issue and a facilities issue and, access to not having access to like food and stuff like that out there for our drivers and, reasonable basic human accommodations. So yeah, I'm going to continue to talk about this stuff every single day, you guys. I'm not going to only talk about it when it's convenient to get some clicks and some vanity metrics, because frankly, I'm showing up day in and day out because I'm moving this industry forward. And that's what we're going to do. Is we're going to move this industry forward. It's going to come from our audience here. Also, little subtle reminder, diesel is still at a staggering $4.53 a gallon nationwide. It is up 58 cents a gallon year over year. I get all that information from the EIA, you guys, EIA.gov. And then also that gets updated every Monday. So I'll have the updated price for you guys tomorrow morning when we go live out there. But again, as you're bidding out freight and everything, if you need to put a line haul plus fuel, you can go on there and find that out. And then you can actually call the national average fuel surcharge line. That number's listed out there, and it'll show you how to calculate what the national average is, because it's not $4.53 if you're bidding. It could be 33 cents a mile or 58 cents a mile or whatever that looks like. It'll all be listed on there for you guys to check out. Christopher Kelly, he says, morning all. And yeah, you guys, and it's going to be a solo show today. I'm going to have a guest for you guys on Wednesday. Again, I'm out here building up my businesses. And sometimes it's easier for me to just get in and do the news quick and then jump back out because I am actively prospecting. I am actively moving freight and doing all of that. And I'm trying to be as mindful of your guys' time as well, because all of you guys have jobs also. So what we do on solo shows is we do a rate analysis, and we're going off of a lane by lane basis here. And I brought this lane up. It was either last week or the week before, but I want to show you how much this has changed and how the seasonality of this market plays into effect here, you guys. So we talked about outbound Florida a couple weeks back. It could have been last week, but we talked about Tampa to Atlanta, Georgia. And 7 days ago, which where we were at, it was at $1.95 a mile for the outbound Florida rate going from Tampa to Atlanta. Now it raised 11 cents a mile in 7 days. So that's how much of a drastic spike the seasonality of this freight can have. And if you're operating out of there, and then here we'll also pull up, same thing with the Tampa to Charlotte. Last week it was at $2.15 a mile outbound, and it spiked 15 cents in a week, you guys. 15 cents a mile. It's up to $2.29. Sorry, I went to public school. It's technically 14 cents, but you guys get my drift there. But again, that's how drastic these markets change. And then that's just with the reefer trailers alone. And that affects everything. That affects most freight markets out there in regards to refrigerated freight. Even the shippers out there who aren't hauling flowers, it's going to affect their rate. So if you're going out there, this is going to stick around in Florida too. These rates are going to be there because it starts with flowers. It's going to transition into produce and everything as well. So these rates are only going to increase outbound Florida. But if you're looking at it from the opposite perspective here, and if you have the freight going into Florida, naturally speaking, that freight tends to get cheaper. And I know there's people out there who are going to hate me for even saying that, but it has already dropped. So if we flip the script here and we go from Charlotte down to Tampa, it was at $3.19 for reefer 7 days ago. It has dropped 17 cents a mile. It is down to $3.02. And then same thing, we'll throw it up here out of Atlanta as well. And again, you guys, the importance of this is being able to read this, because this isn't an anomaly, right? Like this. So Atlanta to Tampa, it was at $3.37 a mile 7 days ago. And then it's down to $3.14. So look at that drastic drop. And now if you're looking at this from a long-term perspective, this stuff happens year in and year out. So naturally, this is how you price in freight for the long term, is you look at these freight cycles, you look at the 90-day report, you see the rate variance that's been going on out there, and then also you factor in the seasonality of these things, and you can get a competitive price, because at the end of the day, you can't reject tenders and you can't reject freight because you bid cheap on purpose to win their business. And then when the market flips, you got to reject it all because you can't move it and you're not going to move it at a loss. All right. So take this into consideration as you're bidding a lot of this stuff out there, you guys, because you don't want to get tossed into you're just another broker category or you're just another provider category at that point. These are big deals, you guys. These are really big deals for you guys to factor these in as you're pricing stuff for the long term. All right. So yeah, that's my little rate analysis there, you guys. I do that every day that there is a solo show, because I want to teach you guys how to read freight markets. All right. At the end of the day, you do not need high powered data out there to be able to see this stuff. If you have a load board, for example, if you're paying for a load board, all of this information is on there, and you can all you got to do is to start paying attention to it. If you have the money to invest in technology, invest in the technology. It's very beneficial of the stuff that's out there. But again, you don't necessarily need it, because again, as you're building up your book of business, again, being very hyper-focused. I'm always about the niche, you guys. And I'm going to talk about that time and time again, because it's the most effective sales strategy that I have yet to find out there as I'm building up my companies and everything else. And you will be shocked on how many carriers that run these lanes that, you know what, they don't play the market, right? They don't play the spot market, drastic increases or decreases. They need a consistent price. And then what you'll find the more and more you work with shippers is if you're very lane specific or region specific with them, they want that consistent pricing as well, you guys. So look into that as you're out there prospecting and working with your customers, because, frankly, you guys, when you're cold calling and you're prospecting, that's always going to be the easy part. The hard part always begins with execution when you start moving their freight. So that's my little soapbox today. Kat Aikens, excuse me. She says, hey, folks, here learning. Thanks for joining in. And Louie, what's up? Good morning. Louie's with Rolling Dice Logistics. Thanks for coming back. Hey, Kat, we're glad you're here. We're here every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central. And you guys, as always, if you see value in what we talk about here, share the show, you guys. Go out there. If you're watching on YouTube, or if you hear the audio-only replay of this on iTunes and Spotify later, subscribe and share the show, rank the show. That's how we've built this into the Top Transportation Podcast, is because of each and every one of you doing this day in and day out. And that's how we're going to retain that spot, is because we're here to talk about the realities of building this stuff up, because 97% of this industry is small business, right? I'm out here building up my brokerage. I'm building up my book of business. I'm going through the exact same stuff you guys are day in and day out. And we're here to work through it. We're here to navigate through it and make ourselves, make the industry a little bit better as we're doing it. So, all right, we are going to jump in. First article, FreightWaves.com. Broker Trade Group renews double brokering debate with new white paper. TIA lists ways brokers can avoid scam carriers trying to cash in via double brokering. I am a massive fan of the TIA. If you are not a member of the Transportation Intermediaries Association, reach out to them, tianet.org. They do not sponsor me. I am a member of them. There is a ton of immense value, okay? There's a ton of value in being a member of the TIA, you guys. All right. Their annual conference is going to be in Orlando here in April. Your boy's going to be there. So, you'll see the orange shirt walking around, but that's irrelevant at the time. But again, there's a lot of value out there to be a member of the TIA. I would highly look into it. Let me see here. The leading trade group representative representing the brokerage industry is diving anew into the double brokering issue. In a white paper recently distributed to its members, the TIA focuses to a large degree on instruction in precaution as well as advocacy. Double brokering has multiple definitions, but it has a consistent meaning for the TIA. That's from my man and my friend Chris Burrows. He's the VP of Government Affairs. The TIA's definition of double brokering for us is typically a broker selects a trucking company to haul their freight. And unbeknownst to the broker, the trucking company proceeds to rebroker or double broker that load back out to another carrier that ultimately makes the haul. That doesn't always result in the freight being brokered safely and on time. Burrows says that the double brokering may go to a company without proper authority, and the original broker doesn't find out unless something bad happens. The issue is not new, Burrows says, and he says it's getting worse. We talked to one of the largest factoring companies out there in the U.S., and their latest quote is that double brokering is affecting upwards to $500 to $700 million in freight. Think about that. $500 to $700 million in freight. The so-called Glendale gang from Southern California appears to be a key reason for the surge in current concern. The double brokering activities of this involve numerous companies popping up and then disappearing. It was an issue back in 2012 when the TIA worked on the MAP 21 legislation, an Obama-era law that dealt with surface transportation. It was more formerly known as Moving Ahead for Progress. Burrows said that legislation requires the brokerage of freight to have legal authority. It also raised the bond requirements from bond requirements to $75,000 from $10,000. What we are seeing is middle players are more fraudulent companies masquerading as trucking companies. They are often based outside of the U.S., and they may have some operative in the U.S. who gets the authority and until they get shut down. And then let me see, according to Burrows, it can vary, but one scenario he spelled out involves getting a load, seeking quick pay services, which does take a haircut out of the payment, and then reposting the load out there, and the long-term effects on the business plan. And a TIA member recently found out that one of their load board accounts was hacked for double brokering of 30 to 40 loads. So he said there's 30 to 40 carriers getting screwed. And that's like the big thing about it, is it's like the carrier who actually hauls the freight is getting screwed the most. So that 1 to 4 truck, 5 truck operation out there has to be extra diligent on who they are even working with. out there. And, for me, it's always this, like, if it sounds too good to be true, it generally is, like if you're trying to move a load and, for example, for $1,000 and everybody's quoting you 1,200 to 1,300. And then all of a sudden somebody's like, oh, you know what, man, I'm going to do it for $800. That is the biggest red flag. All right. The biggest red flag that's out there. But again, I think that for me personally, there is some, again, Carrier Assure, phenomenal software out there that helps you in the double brokering gig. I don't always pump my other product, Broker Carrier, but we're going to have some very phenomenal updates here in regards to the double brokering bullshit that goes on, because we have a very solid piece that we're going to be releasing one of our future updates here. But again, you guys, at the end of the day, the person who gets hosed the most, more times than not, is the carrier who actually hauls the load. And, again, for me personally, so, and I'm going to say this here, because if the carriers who are mostly the victims, why is the TIA interested? And Burroughs said in many cases that the broker legitimately started the chain will compensate the carrier at the end of the chain, found out for the victim of double brokering. Many times the fraudulent company is never heard from again. To save relationships with the carrier, we often pay for the one ultimately delivers. Burroughs said the TIA's goal is to provide members with education out there. So again, like for me personally, you guys, this is why you need to have in-depth questions. All right. If you're vetting somebody, especially for the first time, you need to ask in-depth questions. Same thing if you're a carrier out there, vet your brokers. All right. Because if these brokers can't tell you basic information, because again, I have never received a load that didn't have a piece count, that didn't have a weight, that didn't have a pickup city, pickup address, and a delivery address. I've never once done that. Okay. I've been in brokerage for 12 years. I have been involved in tens of thousands of shipments in my career. Not one time have I received a bill of lading that was lacking that information. If you're a carrier out there and you're vetting a broker, if they can't answer basic questions, do not book that freight with them, because chances are it's one of those double brokers who just took the load and they're reposting it and they're trying to get you to bite on that. Another thing for my brokers out there, this is why I am so adamant on you not giving away insurance certificate information, on you calling the insurance company yourself and vetting that this truck, especially for a new setup, is actually listed on the insurance policy. Go out there and do this stuff. Take 5 seconds on the front end and save yourself tens of thousands of dollars on the back end. Because I've been on the other end of this. I've been on the other end where we paid out the double broker, and then the original carrier called us 60 days later asking for payment. And then we had to double pay for a load. Like this stuff happens because at times we don't think about this stuff, and then look at the report. So like, these are some very key things. Recent carrier authority activation. For example, this is why some brokers out there require you to be in business, whether it be 30, 60, 90, 180 days, whatever that looks like. But again, another reason why you need to call and verify that this is an actual trucking company if you're a broker, because not every broker requires this. There's some brokers who will let you haul freight for them the day you get your authority, because like you can vet them. You can call the insurance company and be like, yeah, this VIN number for this truck and this VIN number for this trailer is listed under this scheduled policy. Another thing, here's another thing that stands out: multiple address changes. All right. If they are popping up, they are reincarnated. And again, all of that stuff is tracked out there. All right. And it shows that they're popping up left and right. Same thing, resistance to technology, tracking apps, or even giving out driver information. I have found this. Trucking companies who truly have multiple drivers in the area, I've never had a problem with them providing the multiple drivers in the area up front and then letting me know who's going to take the load the day of. It's the resistance, like, oh, I'll get you that information later. Just send me the rate confirmation. Again, do what you want. And then not all the time, like the request for quick pay. It's very legitimate for a lot of carriers out there who need it. And I get it. But again, verify a lot of this stuff. All right. Verify a lot of that. And then here's the big one. We've already talked about this. It's a willingness to take a rate for a load that is less than what is being posted, because the plan is to cash out quickly before the double broker is detected. Another thing as well that I found is advances. If their first question before anything, can I get an advancement on the load? Not all the times, but that was another red flag that I found out there, because they were looking for comm check scams. They were looking to cash out a bunch of this up front, and then if the legitimate driver asks for a comm check, it's like, well, we already issued one to the dispatch. So again, there's those little things. And this, I personally think this is the biggest issue that is affecting this industry. But again, the FMCSA, I'm done. You guys are very all aware of my opinion on how much more they should be doing. But again, as a business owner, what more can you do? I'm more concerned about the trucking companies in these instances, because they're the ones who are getting hosed. The trucking companies that are actually doing the work are the ones that are getting hosed. And then again, call if you're a trucking company out there and you're hauling a load, and this is the first time or a couple of times that you're hauling for a broker, call and verify some of the broker's information. Call in. If you're hauling freight for somebody, call in and ask to talk to their accounting department. Protect your business. Protect your business in these instances. And that's what I just don't want to see any of you guys who are the hardworking men and women behind the wheel, who have everything on the line, get cut out of a couple $1,000s because of a scammer. So, to be in there and prepare yourself for these. Again, vet your brokers as much as brokers want to vet you. And if a broker can't provide basic information, do not haul that load. It is not worth your time at all. Because again, I've been doing this for a long time. I sarcastically say I've moved 3 truckloads, but I've never not had information for a shipment from my customer. I have never not had a pickup address or a delivery address or phone numbers or piece counts or weights or anything like that. It's always been there. So again, trucking companies, you got to protect yourselves right now. Vet these brokers. If these brokers aren't providing information, that's a red flag. If you get a rate confirmation from there and you see spelling errors in the company's name, Google the company quick. Do whatever you got to do to protect yourself. Same thing with brokers, you guys. Ask questions, please, for the love of God. It's not, it picks here, it delivers here. This is what it weighs. This is what it pays. Take it or leave it. They're looking for that shit. They're looking for the person who does not give a fuck about their job. All right? That's what they want. So, anyways, that's it for that article. It's a good article, obviously. Freightwaves.com, broker trade group renews double brokering debate with its white paper out there. This is why I want, take it for what you want or will with this. This is why we need to raise the requirements to getting into this industry. It's for shit. It's too easy. It's too easy to get in and reincarnate and everything else. Again, back to the FMCSA needing to do their actual job in this situation. I'm just not going to bang my head against the wall on this one, you guys. Let me see here. Got some comments. Cody Miller, what's up, brother? Thanks for joining in today. Let me see. Scott says, we've all been there. We've recently required 60-day authority because the last few we've been catching in advance have been within the 30-day windows of authority. Cody Miller says, my load schedule is real light this week, so it looks like it will be a good week for outreach and marketing. Hashtag the Freight Coach and Orange Shirt Gang always gets me pumped. Thanks for coming in back, Cody. It's good to see you. And April Maroney, driver contact, GPS tracking, photo in the name of the door in the cab, shipper verification where possible, and always ask open-ended questions. Very great and sound advice. And then, Scott followed that up with qualifying questions, ask them. And again, it's just as important to have the carriers ask these questions, because the drivers and the small fleets are the ones who are really getting the short end of the stick on this one. Man, I got to have any of my driver friends who are listening to this show right now, or you hit it up on the replay, DM me. I'd love for you to come on and talk from your perspective about how you have been able to spot a double brokering shitbag, we'll call them, and how we could possibly put some more information out there. Because again, I've never been on your end of that equation. And I would love to hear your perspective because, again, I think that can help us all be more rounded in that effect. But yeah, you guys, let me see here. We got time for one last article. Fleetowner.com, and this is insights from fleet use of data and AI. I know AI has been all over with chat GT, fucking whatever. I think it's GTP. I think I saw that. I'm not going to try and act like I don't know what it is. But, you know, AI is becoming more and more of a thing. My personal philosophy, and this is just Chris Jolly. I want to automate as much as I can, but I can never automate a relationship. And I never want my customers or my carriers to get an auto-generated response. I want it to be a real human being in my companies. And that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm building my businesses off of, is you can't automate a give a fuck. All right? Trademark that shit. You can't automate a give a fuck. Anyways, Geotab did an inaugural State of Commercial Transportation report. It collects 3.2 million connected commercial vehicles across the globe. Fleets are finding opportunities to service their customers in a more efficient manner, meaning less hours on the road, less distance being traveled, and more trips being made. You know, I'm going to give a shout out to my friends over at Emerge, for example. If you're a carrier, get signed up with them. Emerge can get you in direct contact with shippers, and that can help you lower your deadhead and save on your fuel consumption and everything else. It can find you some more consistent business. They got a great product over there. And then we've all seen issues where we don't have quality data, and and data is everything right now. Whether you're a small business, large business, I'm a startup. I'm bootstrapping everything. I'm self-funding everything. Everything that you see, I pay for through the and I think that utilizing my data and utilizing the technology to help enhance my business is going to be key. And if you're talking to your technology partners, for example, what do their API integrations look like? What does their software look like? How is it going to help you? Because you don't want to buy one piece of software that doesn't have an API integration with your operating system, for example. I think that that's kind of ass backwards to buy a complementary product that refuses to build an API or doesn't have an open-end API that you can connect with your platforms. Because again, especially from a broker's perspective, you want to be in one platform. Your TMS is the brainchild of your organization, and you want to be in that as much as possible. And then, because it talks about, again, I'm a very big fan of outward facing cameras on trucks. It's talking to that and how that can help out with your insurance in this article. And I'm kind of paraphrasing a lot of this stuff, you guys, because we're coming up on time and I want to be mindful all of your guys' time over here. I think that, because it again, with the AI and simplifying access to data, and it's talking about they're building an integrated intelligence tool to help fleets address rising operation costs, supply chain talent, and regulatory pressures. And, and that's another thing of what you can utilize data and technology for in the betters. If you've never had a maintenance program for your equipment, if you've never had a fuel consumption report or anything like that, you can get all of that. And especially as a small fleet, you have access to all the tools that the larger fleets have that are on a very cost-effective basis. They're out there. So again, look into these things on what technology you can invest in to help propel your business forward, to make you more cost-effective, to help you offset some of the rising costs that are associated with doing business. That article, you guys, is from Fleet Owner, and that is Fleet Use of Data and AI. And that is going to be it for today. Cody Miller says, great show topic with the recent spike of scammers. Sonny Sharma says, another great episode. I appreciate you guys. Kat Aikens says, only way I know is if their contact name ends in YAN or they have 20 trucks with 0 inspections. Yes, I'm that one. Kat, there's people who have a lot of experience who utilize that as well. And Kat, we go through these things all the time out here. Again, we are about moving this industry forward. As always, if you saw value in what we talked about here, you guys share the show. We will be back tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central. That is it for today, you guys. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and we'll be talking to you soon.